All right, let's continue with Reverend James Bultema, PhD candidate in theology and religious studies at the Evangelische Theologische Faculteit in Leuven, Belgium, speaking to us from Antalya, Turkey. So, James, welcome once again. I believe we've met in the past. I can't remember where, but I look forward to hearing you.
I think it was online, Dennis. In any case, I have defended and I have done it successfully. So now a PhD holder as well.
Dr.
But thank
Bultema.
you, Dennis, and thank you all for this opportunity, and greetings to you all. I prepared a praesis of my essay that I submitted entitled "The Mask Askew: How the Turkish Protestant Movement Recognized and Surmounted Religious Discrimination." Since 1961, the Turkish Protestant movement has resulted in roughly 10,000 Turkish Protestants who congregate in no less than 210 local churches throughout the country. Such a measure of success was improbable given the prior Protestant subjugation in Turkey and the assertively secular, adamantly Islamic, and counter-Christian nation that the young republic had become. A plausible explanation for the movement's success is fourfold. First, the 1961 Turkish constitution granted an unprecedented degree of religious freedom. Second, international news of this religious freedom attracted missional attention, leading to a new inflow of Protestant missionaries. Third, lawful missionary activity gave rise to conversions from Islam to Christianity. And finally, nurturing local churches, institutional developments, global support, and ecumenical acceptance contributed to the movement's survival and expansion. Although far from perfect in effect, Turkey's religious freedom has been enough for the emergence of the movement. In my paper, I present for your consideration 4 episodes of recurring religious freedom violations in Turkey, with special attention given to how members of the Turkish Protestant movement recognized and surmounted these types of religious discrimination. Although the violations were, in various ways, masked, victims of the violations found the masks to be askew, disfigured, so to speak, by the nationally protective emotions behind them, or by the constitutionally questionable interpretations of religious freedom itself. The first episode occurred in the 1960s, when a missionary was arrested for what was interpreted to be illegal religious propaganda. However, the defense lawyer effectively argued that, according to the new constitution, such evangelism was legal. Although the missionary was absolved and released, during a subsequent routine procedure at the foreigners' police station, he was rearrested, handcuffed, and handily driven to the Greek border and deported, with a persona non grata exit stamp in his passport. Since that missionary's deportation without due process, hundreds of missionaries have been similarly banished, most recently through the use of entry ban codes. Nevertheless, missionaries have surmounted such religious freedom violations by simply mobilizing more missionaries for the missional work in Turkey, as the first deportee himself had left behind a new team of workers. A second episode occurred in the 1970s, involving crises of identity for both a Turkish convert from Islam and his wife, a British English teacher missionary. Their respective identity crises revealed an inextricable link between Turkish ethnicity and Islam in the national mindset. While religious freedom headway since then has mitigated such a mindset for some Turks, it has aggravated the mindset for others, resulting in ongoing social, economic, and political consequences for especially Turkish Protestants. Nevertheless, in an effort to cultivate common ground and mutual trust with compatriots, the converts have sought to synthesize a new personal national identity, epitomized in this quote from another Turkish convert from the 1970s. By blood and citizenship, I am Turkish and love my people and land, but my heart and soul belong to Jesus, whom I love and trust above all. As the third and fourth episodes, I briefly recount two worshiping church closures by well-armed Turkish police. In each case, journalists accompanied the police, snapping pictures and taking notes, leading to detrimental media coverage regarding the traumatized worshipers. Nevertheless, I relate how the church closures ultimately contributed to the outworking of especially the collective dimension of religious freedom. The discrimination that had motivated the closures and that had been masked as tactical police attempts to checkmate the presumably unwarranted Christian worship services was itself unmasked. Thus, these four episodes of recurring religious freedom violations suggest that religious discrimination in Turkey is more often masked than it is barefaced. Deportation without due process, stigmatization of Christian identity, and termination of legitimate worship services are examples of violations that those of the Turkish Protestant movement have endured. When confronted with such masked discrimination, however, astute observers in the movement have essentially noticed that the masks were skewed by confusion, hatred, or fear. Be that as it may, Turkish adherents of the movement have viewed their discriminators also as their kin, members of their national family. Inherently, then, in surmounting the discrimination, whether through missionary mobilization, identity synthesization, or religious freedom application, the Protestants have not only served their own best interests, but also those of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James, Dr. Bultema, for your presentation.